Hello and good morning to all of you. I don't know how many of you have watched a movie called Bulandi. Why I am discussing this movie, because it will help you in order to understand at least one of the provision given the Act 1833. What happens in this movie, that a villain rapes a woman on the ground. When he was raping the woman, a boy was also standing on that field, and he was listening everything. He was seeing everything. Later on, what happens when the matter goes in front of Rajnikant, as Rajnikant was the head man of that village, and he was being treated as a very respectful man. He was the whole and soul to take any kind of decision. So when the matter goes before the Rajnikant, Rajnikant invites the boy as a witness, and the boy says that yes, this man was raping, this man was misbehaving with this lady, and this lady was crying a lot. Even then, the man was not leaving her. So what happens, that after listening the statement of the boy, the Rajnikant gives a very hard punishment. And you must know that the kind of power Rajnikant enjoyed in this movie, believe me, that kind of power cannot be enjoyed even by the Chief Justice of Supreme Court of India nowadays. So the Rajnikant, he punishes to the person. uh, so what actually, now you have to relate this thing with respect to Britain. In India, we think that boy is innocent. We think that boy has the purest form of heart. We think that boy is always speaks the truth. As a result, whatever he is saying, it must be accepted as it is. And that's why what happens, that Rajnikant believes on the statement and he punishes the person. Whereas in case of Britain, what happens here, that Britain believes that a boy, after all, he is a boy. He has not the crossed the age of 18 years. And in this movie, the boy was 8 to 10 years old. So Britain believes that because he is a boy, his faculty of reason hasn't been developed properly. And if his faculty of reason hasn't been developed properly, how can he accepted as a witness? How we can accept his statement that they are true? So this was the problem which was lying when Britishers came to India, and they holds the judiciary related post, and while giving the verdict. So in one case, one thing was right with respect to India, and the same thing was not right when we see with respect to Britain. You can take one more example. What happens, what was happening during that time, that if any Brahman commits any crime, he cannot be given the capital punishment. But in Britain, there was no any provision. Everybody was equal, whether you was a Brahmin or whatever you are. If you have committed the crime, you are equal before the law. But in India, this was not very much possible. Therefore, what happened, that in order to understand the nitty-gritty or the intricacies of the culture of India, through this act 1833, a law commission was appointed. And you know that the Macaulay was the head of this law commission. So basically, through this law commission, Macaulay tried to understand the cultural perspective of India, so that the decisions could be delivered in a proper manner. So this was the first thing, that the law commission was appointed through the act 1833. However, I have told you a very long story, but the thing which you need to remember, that is the law commission headed by Macaulay was appointed or established by through this act 1833. This was the first thing which was done. Now the second thing, as I had told you while discussing the act 1813, that every act is related with another one way or the other. So how it is related with the 1813, I mean the second provision, how it is related? As you know that in 1813, when this 1813 was brought, it was asked to the company that you can continue for the next 20 years your monopoly with respect to trade of India and with respect to China. Okay, it was asked to a company for the next 20 years. It does mean that 1813 and when you add the 20 years, so till 1833 this provision or was added. Now as I am discussing the 1833 act, so through this act what happens here, that I mean except the tea and China, everything the monopoly has been removed completely. But through this act, even the monopoly which was existing with respect to tea and with respect to China, even this monopoly was completely removed. So you can say now the company was treated as a administrative entity. There was no any responsibility left for the company to take care of the business related activities. The Britain, I think he was trying to rule over India through this company. That's why he made or he asked the company to be a completely administrative body. And through this act, this second thing was done, which is also equally important and which you need to keep in mind, that the company was the British government tried to cut the wings of the commercial wings of the company, and it was established as the pure administrative body. This was the second thing. Now the third thing which was done through the act 1833, this is also important and it has been asked in some of the examination, that it introduced the system of open competition for the selection of civil servants. However, what happens here, that the court of directors they were not agree with this provision, and later on it was taken back by the British government. But you must know that the next act 1853, when this act was brought by the British government, this provision was accepted. But in this time in 1833, this open competition was rejected by the court of directors. Now the last thing I would like to tell you, which is given in the Lakshmikant book in the as a first point, that through this act 1833, the Governor General of Bengal, he was given a different designation, and the designation was the Governor General of India. You must know that the Governor General of Bengal was replaced with the Governor General of India, and Lord William Bentinck, he was declared as the first Governor General of India. So these were some of the important provisions given in this act. Last thing, let me tell you that the abolition of slavery was also introduced in this act 1833. And what happens that I mean later on, there was an act 5 of the year 1843 through which the slavery was abolished. But the seeds of removal of slavery were planted through the act called 1833. Thank you very much.